with our scripture. Is going to be in Colossians 3:23. All right, Colossians 3:23, and it says, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart." All right, this is the Bible, y'all. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters. This is one of my favorite scriptures when it comes to ministry. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters. All right. And so I love this scripture because the Bible tells us how to exactly do everything that we're doing. And it's to be done with all of our hearts. We got to do the work of the Lord wholeheartly. I want to share this story. Growing up, I've been to all kind of barbershops. Okay, I mean, I was Haitian growing up. I'm still Haitian, but I was a Haitian kid. My mom and dad brought me through like barbershops in the basement. I've been to barbershops in living rooms. I've been to barbershops all over the place. Okay, now I've witnessed all that is there to witness in a barbershop. I'm talking about crazy debates. I've seen the bootlegger selling CDs. I mean, I've met the guy and the family coming in to sell chicken and patties at the barbershop. I've stayed after my haircut because we were watching a crazy action movie. Like, I feel like I've experienced all there is to experience in a barbershop. Like, I've seen the arguments happen. I've seen the baby mamas come in the barbershop and talking to the barber like, you ain't paying your child support. I've seen all of that in barbershops. And I really thought that was it. I really thought, okay, this is what a barbershop is, I loved going to my barbershop growing up. I had a barbershop in Dorchester, Massachusetts on Geneva Ave. And there was this old man that used to like cut my hair, and he wasn't the best barber, but he literally used to kind of like, I would come in and I would have a picture of how I wanted to do my hair. And he would be like, listen, you're about to be a pastor. You cannot cut your hair like that. And I'm thinking he's cutting my hair the way I asked, and he never did. But that's besides the point. So fast forward maybe like 2 years ago, I moved into a new city and I'm looking for a new barbershop. And so I'm asking around because I can't be driving 30 minutes out to go get a barbershop from where I grew up. I needed to find a barbershop that was closer to home. And so I've asked around and everybody kept saying, this one place, etc. So the very first thing I noticed about this one place is that before I can even get to the barbershop, I had to download an app and I had to set an appointment. I've never had to do that for a barbershop in my entire life. So at first I was like, okay, so I set an appointment and I saw the picture. I downloaded the app. I saw the pictures of all the barbers on there. And it was like I had to kind of like choose the barber that I want, choose the time slot, choose the type of haircut that I wanted. There were pictures there on the app. And then as soon as I confirmed, I got an email. And then they told me when to show up. And they told me that if I was more than 5 minutes late, I would lose my slot. So I make sure it's my first time at this barbershop. I drive there, and as I pull up to the barbershop and open the door to open and get in, I'm actually shocked. I've never seen a barbershop in real life like this. Every barber had on the same uniform. They were wearing gloves, all right? Every station was set up the same exact way. There was a receptionist at this barbershop who you talked to. They didn't do cash only. You actually did not even pay the barber. Once you were done, you are going to walk to the front and pay the receptionist. You told her who your barber is, and she tells you thank you. And she says, do you want to set your appointment for 2 weeks from now? Every 15 minutes, somebody came to sweep up the floor and make sure hair wasn't on the floor for more than 15 minutes. This barbershop had a particular smell. The music was respectable. The language was respectable. I felt like I could bring my family. There were kids around. I didn't have to close their ears when there was a conversation that was happening. Everybody was respectable and nice. And I couldn't believe that this barbershop existed all my life. And I've been going to basements, and I've been buying CDs and stuff from bootleggers. I couldn't believe that this type of barbershop existed for my whole entire life. And here I was, all right? Here I was getting my lineup messed up because my barber was arguing with his baby mama. Here I was kind of like hearing all this loud conversation. Here I was at the barbershop for over an hour when my cut could have taken 20 minutes. Here I was watching other barbers drinking and all this stuff. I was experiencing all this stuff. And now I got into a point where I entered this barber and I was like, this is amazing. I left. I set my appointment for the next 2 weeks. I got in my car and I said one word: excellence. Excellence. That was absolutely excellence. Excellence for us leaders is our ability to present our work in the most organized, prepared, and orderly way possible. Excellence will change someone's entire experience of your ministry. It'll change someone's entire experience of what you are presenting. Excellence, the ability to raise the standard of your ministry. All right, that's what excellence is. What I love about excellence, y'all, and this is, I want to break this myth, okay? Because one of the things I'm starting to notice is the type of leaders that this target model attracts and the type of leader that this class and session attracts. Excellence has nothing to do with your budget. It has nothing to do with how much money you have. It has nothing to do with the size of your church or your school. It has nothing to do with how much freedom you have to do whatever it is that you want. Excellence is just about your ability to be what needs to be. Like, it's your ability to do what needs to be done in a way that is organized, prepared, and orderly. I grew up leading youth ministry. I grew up leading youth ministry at Mount Olives Baptist Church in Hyde Park, and under the leadership of Pastor Roberson, the late Pastor Roberson. And at the time I started leading, the church was very young. In other words, the church had no money. All the money the church was making, they had to pay the mortgage, they had to pay the bills, they had to do all that. So anything that we needed to do, we needed to fundraise. We needed to figure out, if you wanted to spend any type of money, you needed to come up with it by yourself. And in that season of my life, it taught me that excellence really has nothing to do with your budget, but everything to do with your preparedness and intentionality. If your ministry is to be identified as excellent, you have to make a conscious effort. You have to make a conscious effort. And so I want to talk about the areas where you need to make a conscious effort in to make sure your ministry stays excellent. All right. So in order to create a culture of excellence, right, the very first thing is that excellence is linked to vision. All right. Excellence is linked to vision. In order to create a culture of excellence, the vision of the ministry has to be clear and it has to be communicated consistently. Now, I've talked about vision almost in every single session here, but here's why it matters in excellence. As a leader, you have to paint the picture for the people you lead, the people that work with you. You have to paint the picture, okay? So as you praise and affirm people, they have to clearly understand every step they take in leading towards that vision. That vision has to scream excellence to them. As leaders, we have to be able to paint the picture of the future, all right? So here are some questions, y'all. What does the future look like for what you're trying to do? What does it look like? What does it smell like? Okay, who's in the room? How many people is in the room? Once the picture is painted, it should be understood as the goal. It should be understood as the bar, the standard of excellence. Paint the picture. Paint the picture. Paint the picture for everyone. Tell them what it looks like. Give them ideas as descriptive as possible. Because what you need to do is you need to paint the picture of excellence for your team, your volunteers, whoever it is that you're working with, and then they need to be able to take it and see what you see. One of the hardest parts of excellence and standards is that everybody around you can't see what you see. They don't know what excellence looks like. And so as a leader, you come and you get frustrated because you're not seeing the results that you want to see, but it's because the picture wasn't painted well enough for all the people that you're running with to see. And so you want to make sure that you're painting, you want to make sure that you are painting that picture well. And if you're in a church setting, be sure to adopt, all right, and adapt and agree to the vision of your senior pastors before communicating this vision to others. All right. So the very first thing with excellence, excellence is linked to vision. All right. Second thing, excellence is linked to organization. Okay. Now, we talked about order and organization when we talked about anointing and stuff like that. I'm going to break this down a bit more. Okay. An excellent ministry is organized, period. I don't like if you're not going to go, and this is not just a ministry, this is an organization. When you go somewhere and you be like, man, these people are on top of it, there's a level of organization that is behind that. Okay, it doesn't just happen. It doesn't just fall in line together. There's a level of intentionality and organization. Excellence requires structure. It requires systems. It requires consistency and creativity, all of which has to be organized. All right, excellence requires structure. It requires systems. It requires consistency and creativity, all of which has to be organized. All right, as leaders, we have to value that. We have to value that. I want to give you guys a few things that I do that helps me stay tight as it relates to remaining organized. Okay, the very first thing is communication. As a leader, if you're leading a team, if you're leading a ministry, if you're leading anything, you should have at least 3 modes of consistent communication. 3 modes, okay, for your team. And you should not, what I mean by 3 modes, email, cell phone, phone calls, group meets, Facebook, Instagram, whatever works, okay? Understand that there is not one standard that everybody has to do. Whatever works for your culture, just keep doing it and make it consistent. There has to be at least 3 modes of communication, okay? And it's very great. So what do I mean by that? If you're meeting, that's a mode of communication. How often are you meeting? It should be regular and consistent. Okay, if you're emailing, how often are you emailing? It should be regular or consistent. If you're meeting, somebody in there should be taking notes and emailing notes. So not only are people experiencing the communication in person, but they're experiencing the communication through email. All right. And then you want there to be text messages or whatever, Instagram, group meets, whatever it is that works for you. There needs to be 3 consistent modes of communication. Here's the deal here. Too long of a gap in communication is never a good idea. It's never a good idea. Your team, your people, your volunteers that you're leading as a leader should not be hearing from you for 2-3 weeks at a time. That's not consistency. It's not good. You're losing connection. You're losing contact. And if you're losing connection and contact, you're losing order and organization. Therefore, your excellence is going to be affected. All right. So I do my best to communicate one message to everyone. So I try to communicate to everyone together and try to bring as many people together and communicate it at one time. All right. So communication helps me stay organized. Administrators, for all my admins that are here, I know there are a few admins that are here. Like, you guys are the secret sauce to excellence. I am not an organized person. I just want to say this. I am not the most organized person. If I am a creative person, and so things are all over the place, and I know where they are in my head, but I am not the most organized person. I know that about myself, but I know that I can't do excellent ministry without organization. And so what I do in any of my teams, y'all, I surround myself with 2 to 3 highly effective admins. Highly effective admin. If you're an admin here, listen, you are so needed in order for what we do to be excellent. If you are a leader that is an admin, that you're administratively strong, you are needed, you are valued, okay? Admins allow you to see things that you wouldn't even see. So surround yourself with admins, because sometimes you may overlook something that you wouldn't necessarily overlook. Admins allow you to keep on raising the bar. Admins allow you to dot your I's and cross your T's, which means that you can't just be leading and keep pushing and you're not organized. Admins help you keep everything in order. So you need to have strong admins, build strong admins. Here's the key here with admins. I don't need to be a strong admin to know how to build a strong admin. And so here's the thing about bringing your leadership style and skill to the next level. Just because you don't know how to do it doesn't mean you can't teach it. Okay, so stop thinking and stop doubting yourself that you can teach someone something you're not necessarily good at. At the end of the day, there is a wealth of resources about a particular subject out there that you can make sure that is funneling through the person you need to learn. So I'm going to stay with this admin example for my admins, or even for my creatives on my teams. I make sure that I connect them with strong people. And for me, once you've been leading for a while and you've experienced different types of admins, I know what works. Right, I know what's needed. And so if you've been leading for a while and you've had different types of people work with you, and you know, okay, this person used Excel in this way, it helped us stay organized, demand that on your team. Don't take your years that you've sown in ministry, whether it's been 2 years, whether it's been 5 years, whether it's however. Don't let it discount. Don't let it go out by the wayside, y'all. If you know something has worked in the past, demand that it be learned. Demand that it be learned, whether it's a system, whether it's the way that the communication should take place. Demand that it be kept, all right? And so, and if you know that this is something that needs to happen and you're not skilled in it, talk to someone that is skilled in it. Get the appropriate education and get the appropriate resources to pass on to your leaders. All right, so administrators help stay organized. Planning is the next one. I love a good planning meeting. As leaders, you should have at least 2 years planned for your ministry. You should have at least 2 years planned. Whether you meet weekly or monthly, like ahead, like you need to plan at least 2 weeks ahead, at least 2 years ahead, so you can kind of know where your ministry is going. Sometimes it's difficult to remain excellent because we're doing things month by month, or we're doing things week by week. No, what is happening? Where are you going in the next 2 years? That way it helps you continue to stay consistent. Plan for 2 years at a time. I dare say even 3 years at a time. All right. And so what activities will you do? How many times are you going to be meeting? Where are you going to be? That helps you stay organized. All right. And the next one is preparedness. Preparedness. It's difficult to be excellent if you're not prepared. Oh, listen, I just want to say this, okay? When you are a leader and you are leading a team specifically, your tone in the way that you work, your ability to come in correct and come in prepared, it sets a tone for the whole team. It sets a tone for the whole team. Don't worry about what people will say about your work ethic. The best thing someone can say to me is that Roberson is doing too much. That's amazing. That's what I want to do. I want to do too much. I want to do too much in that meeting. I want to call a 15-minute meeting and hand out agendas because that's how serious I take this work. I want to do a 15, 20-minute meeting and literally talk to everyone about what their role is in that meeting. I want to cause a fit if you're late to my meeting because that's my standard. It's don't apologize for your standard of excellence, because if you keep letting it slide, your bar of excellence is going to keep going down. It's going to keep going down. Everything that you do, come prepared. You as a leader should be more prepared for it than every single person. Okay? You want to make sure that you know what's happening. You want to make sure that you know where things are going. You want to make sure that you come prepared, that you yourself know what you're talking about. You know the objective. You know that there's a clear agenda. You can't just let your mouth, your thoughts, and your feelings go off the cuff in leadership. You have to come ready. You have to come prepared. It's never okay to wing it. It's not okay to wing it. You got to know what you're talking about. You got to know what you're talking about. Like, you see, guys, for this teaching, everything for this class is in here. It is planned. It is thorough. It is done. I'm looking through. I read it every day. You got to know what you're talking about, regardless of what it is. You want to be prepared. I can't stress that enough, because what ends up happening as a leader, when you're showing up somewhere and you're not prepared and you're shuffling around and you're saying, I don't know. Listen, all that does is that lessens your level of excellence, because your unpreparedness was just projected upon your team. It was just projected upon your volunteers. And so therefore, that unprepared spirit is going to circle at your event. It's going to circle at your church. It's going to circle everywhere. But if you come ready, if you come confident, if you come in order, that's the same thing that's going to overtake the ministry. It's going to overtake the organization. All right. So those are the things that help me stay stay on point as it relates to organization: communication, administrators, planning, and preparedness. All right. And so excellence, as we just talked about, is definitely linked to vision. Excellence is linked to organization. Excellence is linked to research and exposure. Research and exposure. Okay, so I used to be the director of a nonprofit called OMAD, and every year they hosted a youth conference of roughly about 1,000 to 2,000 young people throughout the Northeast. And I took on the role, y'all. I was a junior in college. I was a full-time student. I had a job. I was doing youth ministry at my church, and I took on the role as a junior in college. I did conferences at a church level. My church was maybe about 350 to 400 people. All right. I used to do conferences, youth conferences and stuff at my church, but I never did a conference at that magnitude when I took on the organization. I never planned something to that magnitude. Now, understand that in order for me to have learned to do it well, I needed to learn everything that I could about how to run a conference for more than 1,000 to 2,000 young people. And so I dove into research. I mean, you name a conference in the Northeast or in the nation that had over 5,000 people in it, I knew who it was. I knew their name. I knew what church they came from. I knew their history. I was glued to my computer. I was a broke college student, so I wasn't flying to them. But I was emailing, I was on YouTube, I was watching it over and over and over. I studied their marketing. I studied how they did it. I studied who went on tours, and I studied who was affiliated with a major church organization that could pull this off. I studied the characters. I studied the leaders. Where did they come from? How old are they? What school did they graduate from? How's their personality? How can they firmly draw all these people? How are they doing it? I sent DMs. I sent private messages. I called places. I talked to whoever I could talk to. Some people would pick up my calls and some people would not. But it doesn't matter, because I was hungry for the research and I wanted to get exposed. Anything that was in driving distance, I went to, just to see how other people were doing it. Because in order for me to be excellent, I had to accept the fact that I had not been exposed to excellence. Sometimes as leaders, we think the way we do it is the best way, and that's not true. Someone else out there is always going to be doing it bigger and better than us, and that's fine. Ministry is not a competition. What God has for you is for you. However, our mind and our hearts have to be open to learn from one another. And so that I'm saying all this is to you to say, have you researched your field? Okay, who's the best at your field? If you're out here and you're leading something, you're leading a fashion industry, you're leading a fashion blog or something, who's the best? Who's killing it? Who has an amazing team? If you're here and you're an MD, who's some of the greatest MDs out there right now? Who's on tour with Ty Tribbett and Kirk Franklin? Who's on tour with Tasha Cobbs? Who are the MDs that the best of the best is calling forth to come play for them on a tour? Why do they have their number? What school did they go to? What church did they grow up in? How many hours do they shed? I'm just giving you an example from musicians here. You need to know these information, because this is all information that you as a leader need to download, so then you can replicate the excellence that they got. All right. And so right now you have to make yourself so well acquainted with the best of the best in your industry. Now, a lot of you say, a lot of question I get when I do this part of the training is what makes them the best? What makes them the best? And this is my opinion of what makes somebody really good. If they have international exposure, if they have the respect, and the backing of respectable leaders, all right, and they're doing things that is definitely at a whole other level, then clearly something is being done well in their space, all right? So if there's somebody that's, and also what makes them really good is if they've been doing it for a long time and they've been doing it really well. All right. And so you want to make sure who is it in your field that fits that category, y'all. Once you find them, find at least 3 of those people, follow them, email them, if you can't get to them, get to whoever's working under them, get to their assistant, get to whoever's on their team, because whoever is their assistant and is on their team is exposed to how they get there. Expose yourself. Now, this is the time where there is such a huge, there's such a huge library out there in the world for exposure in whatever field you want. For me personally, I watch so many documentaries. I don't just watch documentaries on ministry leaders. I watch documentaries on people who put on, things like the Grammys, people who put on services and concerts. I watch documentaries on Steve Jobs. I watch documentaries on people who have done amazing and great things. I don't want to just see what's on the stage. I don't want to see what's on the news. I want to meet the people that are behind the scenes. I want to meet the people that organize the meetings. I want to meet the people, the brains behind it, because I want to be exposed to that level of excellence. As a leader, in order for you to be excellent, you have to have a hunger for exposure to excellence. You got to want to go see it. You got to want to go learn about it. You got to go after it, all right? I hope my passion for this has you grabbed it over through the screens, because it is so important that we are all connected to it. It is so important that we are all connected to it. You may be a hard worker, but because of your lack of exposure, you will never be excellent. You just don't know what's needed. You may be someone who grinds and works really hard, but you've never been exposed to the next level. You've never been exposed to what's great. You've never been exposed to what's bigger than what you're doing. And so therefore you are good in your circle. You're the best in your circle. And our goal as leaders is not just to be the best in our circle, in our city, in our church. We have to strive to seek to be the best on just across the board, on an international space. Do y'all get what I'm saying? If you're a musician, if you're a singer, if you're a fashion blogger, if you're a youth pastor, you want to look at what's happening globally, not just in your city. What is happening all across the world in your field, okay? Research them and expose yourself to them. And I bet you that alone will help you raise your level of excellence, all right? This will do wonders for you. And I make sure that one of the things that I do with my teams, I make sure that all of my leaders are connected and exposed to different types of people that is in their field. So if I have a team and I have about 7 people in my team and 7 people have 7 different roles, I make sure that if I'm working with an MD, I'm sending them music, I'm sending them, the stuff for an MD. If I'm working with an admin, I'm looking at stuff. If I'm working with a creative, I'm finding the best creative things and I'm sending it to them because I want to continue to expose them, all right? And now this is a time where there's no shortage of that. And it's important to understand here that sometimes it's good to break out of the box of the ministry and look at other sectors that do similar work. For those of us doing ministry, so what I mean by that is like, don't limit yourself to just the church. That's what I'm saying. Don't limit yourself to just the church. Like when I realized when I was researching for conferences, when I was doing stuff for OMED, I was like, okay, I can't limit myself to just Christian youth conferences. Like I need to look at the NAACP conference. I need to go look at Essence. I studied that Essence Festival. Like if you want to know how a major event is put together, you look up the behind the scenes of what it takes to put together a festival that takes over an entire city and how much communication, how much planning kind of goes into that. I looked at all of those things when I when I used to put on concerts, I would watch behind the scenes stuff of the Grammys, of the VMAs, and how people put stuff together. I would study Phil Johnson, which is the mastermind behind all of these performances that you see on award shows. He pulls them all together. All of these great moments that you remember, he pulls all of those things together. And so what you have to do is that as you are inspired, you got to apply godly wisdom to what you see and then allow it to serve as inspiration, all right? Because not like, let's be real, like if I'm watching the VMAs and all this stuff is happening on the VMAs, I'm not going to try to recreate, Diddy having people dancing on a string at the VMAs. That's not what I'm trying to do. But what I'm looking at all that he's doing and the level of excellence and how he's pushing the envelope and how that communicates to an audience and how that grabs attention. All those things have a role in your level of excellence, okay? So excellence is linked to research and exposure. Excellence is linked to organization, and excellence is linked to vision, okay? Another one is that excellence is linked to hard work. Excellence is linked to hard work. Like you can't say you want to be an excellent leader, leading an excellent ministry, and you don't have a hustle, you don't have a grind. It doesn't make sense. Excellence is linked to hard work. I grew up understanding that accomplishing great things take a lot of hard work. Great things, greatness, excellent things. Like for me, I live for two things, y'all. I live for two things when it comes to ministry or things that I put together. The very first thing I live for is for God to say, well done. Okay? By the time this whole thing is over, like if God doesn't say well done, then this was a waste of my time and my life. But at the end of the day, the second aspect is that I live for the wow moments. When somebody walks through the door of something that I'm putting together, I want them to be shocked at the level of excellence, at the level of intentionality. I want them to be shocked at what they see. I want them to be shocked at what they hear. I want them to be shocked at the culture and the vibe of what it is. And all of that takes hard work. It takes a lot of communication. It takes staying up late at night and talking things through and researching. You have to have a grind. You have to have a grind. Don't desire something that you're not willing to pay the cost for. Don't desire something that you're not willing to pay the cost for. There's a cost for being the best. There's a cost for being excellent. There's a cost for being the top. All right? And so I want to make sure that everybody here understands that if you want to be it, you have to pay the cost. Late nights, early mornings, meetings, rehearsals, whatever it is, you want to be able to pay the cost. I love me a good hard worker on my team because I have a grind that somebody has to literally be like, you know what, we gotta go because we've been here because I can get so sucked into whatever it is that we are producing, that we're doing, that we're talking about, that we're working, and it's amazing. It creates this level of energy, and so whatever it is that you're doing, it doesn't have to be what I do. Whatever it is that God has called you to do in your sector, do you carry that grind? Are you willing and are you able to pay the cost? Are you willing and are you able to pay the cost of excellence? Because it's going to be some sleepless nights. It's going to be some conversations. It's going to require you working harder than probably anybody else around you. Because that's the cost. I hear leaders say to me all the time that they can't be excellent, because they don't have a budget or a facility. There couldn't be anything that is like further from the truth. While money can give you a good facility and money can give you great lighting and good sound and food, it doesn't buy organization. It doesn't buy preparedness. It doesn't buy you vision. It doesn't buy you ideas. It doesn't buy you culture. Some of the most powerful things that I've done had nothing to do with money. It had everything to do with the level of excellence and the culture and the way that talent was appropriated, y'all. And so it's so important that you understand that don't limit yourself just because you're saying, hey, I'm at a smaller church. I'm not at a mega church, or I'm at a smaller organization. That has nothing to do with excellence. People and the way people act and the way you organize people, the way you organize how people execute things, the way you organize something, it cannot beat like having $1,000. I can have the biggest budget and have a whack culture. that is not excellent at all. All right. So I want to continue to kill that myth. And I want to say this last thing before we go into questions. And I'll say that after. This last thing I'll say is that the next generation that's coming up, they deserve excellent ministries. They deserve excellent organizations. All right. Excellence is at your fingertips as a leader. It's at your fingertips. You can be great. You can be well organized. You can have all of your stuff together and know it, because we are now in a space where excellence is everywhere. This is like excellence is everywhere. The people that you're catering to, the people in your church or in your ministry, excellence is in front of them every day. They go on Instagram, it's organized in a very excellent way. The latest thing is at the top, wherever's like, it's like colors, everything, it's excellent. Now, Gen Z, y'all, they understand branding better than any other organization. They see one color and one letter, and they can tell you what brand it is. They see an F in a blue box, it says Facebook. They know what it feels like. They know what Facebook is like. Excellence is everywhere. It is everywhere. They open Netflix, it's excellent. They show you the top 10 movies of the week, the top 10 things people are watching, what's coming up next month, what's coming up. Excellence is in front of every single person that is in Gen Z or millennials every single day of their life. So understand, if they're coming to you and you are not matching what they're seeing every day, they're going to be able to detect like that this is not excellent, because they see it every day in front of them. They're going to be able to detect that what you're presenting to them is not as good as it could be, because they see excellence every single day. And so it is so important that whatever you are presenting, it's excellent. And so for these questions today, I want to take questions specific to your church, specific to your organization. Let's talk about you. Let's talk about what you're producing and how we can bring it up to another level. If you're here and you're representing an organization, I want to talk to you. I want to ask you these questions as it relates to branding, as it relates to excellence and preparedness and all these different things. Do you have a logo? Do you have an email blast? Do you have an Instagram account? Do you have a Facebook account? Is there a well thought out plan? Like, I want us to get into those nitty gritties in the questions. And so let's get talking about your specific ministries and how we together right here, right now, can help bring them up to another level. All right. And so that's all I have for excellence today, and how we all can be excellent. I want to dive into questions right now, so we all can take it up a notch. If you haven't, I see so many people on here earlier that came on, told us we have people on here from New York, New Jersey, Shrewsbury. We have people on here from Brazil, Dorchester, Massachusetts, Canton, and Lowell. So this is so dope. If we have questions, let's get going. All right, I see questions. Okay, anonymous question. How important is it for those in a team to get along ministry-wise or an even friendship level? For example, there are sports that are successful and not everyone got along. How is it different or the same within a team or ministry? Okay, we don't have to. I'll answer this question. We don't have to be best friends for us to work together. Okay, it's like, listen, we don't have to be best friends. We don't need to kick it all the time. You don't need to be coming over my house. I don't need to be texting with you 24/7 for us to present something together that is excellent. All that I personally require is that there is a mutual respect, that you don't feel disrespected, I don't feel disrespected, and we're holding our end of the bargain. And that the air is clear. Like, I'm not holding a grudge, you're not holding a grudge. Whatever happened, it happened. We said sorry, we moved on. Tomorrow is a new day, brand new mercies, and we're moving on. However, we don't have to be best friends. We don't got to be best friends. So yeah, you can be on the team and the person is not necessarily your close buddies. And for those of you leading teams, there's no need for you guys to force everybody on that team to be absolutely tight, like white on rice. It's not necessary. It is not necessary. Is everybody on there trying their best to live a good life? That's what's needed. Is everybody on there holding up their end of the bargain? That's what's needed. Is everybody on there respectable? Are we respecting each other? Are we respecting each other? And do we, can we all actually work together? At the end of the day, if there's attitudes and if there's all these things that are just not okay that are consistently showing up, that's gonna mess up your atmosphere. But I can respect you and not necessarily have to hang out with you all the time. I can pray for you. Like, everybody should be able to pray for one another. We should love, we should be able to say, and if we're in the same team, you know what, you're going through something, I'm covering you in prayer. Like that. But don't demand, don't be a team that I would advise you not to be a team that demands everybody to be lovey-dovey all the time. It's not, I don't think it's necessary. Just make sure there's no animosity and the air is cleared and everyone's respecting one another, and kill gossip, kill all of that. Like, there's no space for that. Like, you want to kill that. Keep your air clean and pure for your ministry. After the training series end, will there be a moment where youth leaders and directors are visit? Will there be a moment for youth leaders, directors, and organizational leaders to connect? Yes, absolutely. I'll share more about that on the last session on different ways you guys can connect. So what I'm going to do is ask if you want to. There's going to be a form that says if you want to stay connected, and then we're going to share whoever wants to stay connected with everyone, with everybody through email. Who is your role model for excellence? Oh, I have so many, and they're not preachers. They're not pastors. I have so many for things like excellence. Okay, off the top of my head, it depends what field we're talking about. If we're talking about honoring people, Oprah Winfrey. I've never seen someone honor people better than Oprah. Specifically, something that I go to all the time, and this is one of my dreams, something that I really, really want to do in my life is to honor men that have come above me on a international level. If you go on YouTube and you see Oprah's Legends luncheon that she did, it's just, oh my gosh, she's excellence to the next level. I told you guys about Phil Johnson. He puts Stephen Phil Johnson. He puts together all the performances for things like the VMAs, BT Awards, and he works specifically with Black artists. And so he's behind kind of like the mastermind. If you guys saw when Kendrick Lamar and Beyonce had that BT performance with the water and all of that stuff, he planned all of that together, got them all in a room, sketched it all out, like next level. Absolutely love that. Christian conferences, I don't think you can beat people like Bishop Jakes and John Maxwell. It's like I've personally been to Bishop Jakes conferences, and those are just top notch on how they're organized. For youth ministry organization stuff, I pull from so here's the thing, every ministry has something that they're really good at. And so I'm going to talk about that next week in the talent portion. And so I pull from different people for different things. So for VU Church in Miami, they have their creative team is top notch right now. They've been top notch for the past 3 years. VU Church is absolutely amazing as far as how they present their stuff. It's really, really excellent. A Passion Conference is very, very, very good if you're doing conferences. Passion Conference, they've gotten to a point where they are so organized that they have one conference on one weekend at 3 different stadiums all across the country. And so they will be in Atlanta, they'll be in LA, and then they'll be in like Texas at the same time. And they have their speakers travel to the stadiums in between, and they share screens and they do. I mean, it is, Louis Giglio is the person who puts it together. His team is amazing. I got a chance to meet one of his directors, and they are like top notch. Actually, on my live on Instagram at 7:30 today, I'm bringing on a young lady that has put together some of the like major conferences and retreats for top leaders. Her name is Monica, and she'll be on there. She'll be sharing on how to keep ministries excellent. She's top notch. And I'll also be bringing our operations pastor at our church who plays no games with organization and excellence. So Sophie Eugene will be coming through. Those of you that know Sophie, so she'll be talking about. So those are kind of like some of my inspos, but they're really not all of them. I have so many. I have so many. As far as yeah, I don't want to keep going on that because I have so many. If we want to talk later, I'll talk about inspiration for excellence on IG if you want. How do you keep a high standard of excellence without burning out? Such a good question. Such a good question. And so even though excellence doesn't mean that I overwork my body and I completely like turn myself over. So as a leader, for you to stay excellent, there has to be times where you unplug, right? There has to be times where you unplug. And so you have to be able to know when those times are, and you also have to plan those times. Your personal health and you getting a break in your mind is so important to you being sharp. And so for me, after on Tuesdays and Thursdays, preparing for this class and the live and all that stuff, it's almost like it takes a whole day. And so what I do is as soon as I'm done with the live and I answer questions and DM and talk to people, like there are times where I completely unplug and I talk about nothing. I watch something that's about nothing. Whatever it is that you need to do, you need to have that where you are unplugging from your passion. Because believe it or not, unplugging from your passion fuels your passion. It gives you drive again. So make sure you are unplugging. Make sure you're not going hard 24/7, 7 days a week, every single day about that one thing. You need to kind of like step back, take a breather, especially for those of you who are married in this place. For those of you who have a wife or a husband and you are passionate about that, understand your marriage is your first ministry. Don't be letting that ministry take every bit of energy and you have no energy for that relationship and that marriage. Have times where it is your date day, have times where you are unplugging and you're being present and you're checking in. It is so important to you remaining on top. All right. When it comes to excellence in planning and organization, how do you adapt your monthly, yearly schedule to unforeseeable events? For example, COVID-19. Very, very good question. And so at the end of the day, one of the things you have to do is that you have to say, if you're going to have X amount of events, right? If you're going to have X amount of events throughout the year, what are those events conveying? What are those events doing? The ultimate goal in your ministry is not to have events. The ultimate goal in your ministry is not to have activities. Do you get what I'm saying? The ultimate goal in your ministry should be to lead people closer to Christ and help them sustain and be healthy, right? To bring the lost to Christ and sustain them to Christ. That goal is not married to an event. It's not married to a conference. It's not married to an activity. And so, for example, like COVID-19, your vision and your goal doesn't change. Your activities can always change. And so when it comes to unforeseeable events, of course, when COVID-19, so if you are planning to have a conference around this time, a lot of you that are on here probably did, that got shut down. If you are planning to have services, a lot of you probably did, that got shut down. A lot of your plans got shut down. However, if you're in that space right now as a leader and you don't necessarily know what you need to do to stay excellent and keep things going, ask yourself the question, what was that conference going to do for me? What was the services going to do? What was the event that got canceled, the activity that got canceled? What was it going to do? And then once you answer that, what was it going to do? You want to be able to say, okay, well, I may not have been able to do it this way, but I can still get to my end goal by doing these other activities, if that makes sense. So now the virtual world, Zoom is pretty big. And so, part of some of the events that I personally had planned was to really bring young adults into a space where they understood the practical ways of being in relationships, of staying pure and doing all that. I just had to shift the method. I wasn't able to do it with a service, with a live band and screen and lights and all these different things, but I could do it in different ways. So be fluid to switching the method, especially if you're from the Northeast with snowstorms and all these things that are always happening. Listen, you got to be able to work with what Mother Nature or unforeseeable circumstances give you. How do we start and push a great social media account with no social media experience? Great question. If you don't have social media experience and you want to start a social media account, Becky and Maybelline, if you can unmute yourself, I want to answer this specifically to you. What type of ministry are we talking about?
Youth ministry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if you don't have that, you want to follow Elevation Youth. All right. You want to follow Elevation Youth. They are Elevation YTH on Instagram. You want to follow Hillsong Youth LA. All right. These are people that are doing it internationally. These what I'm giving you right now are people who get paid salary jobs to run Instagram accounts for youth ministry. All right. They get paid like boku money. 2 to 3 of them get paid boku money aside from the youth pastor to run a social media account. All right, so you want to follow Elevation Youth. You want to follow Hillsong Youth, Youth LA. You want to follow Vu Church. All right, I mean he's really big right now. You want to follow Mike Todd, Transformation Church. And when I say follow them, I mean study them. As leaders, we don't just follow these people. We study these people. We study these organizations. We study these accounts. We look at, okay, why did they do that? Where is this going? You scroll all the way down to 2016 and 2017, and you see the growth, and you see, oh, they like this, oh, they like that. You can listen in ministry. Everything that we do comes from God. I am not ashamed of seeing an idea another ministry did and be like, yo, that is an amazing idea. We're doing that in a couple of weeks. There's no shame in that. I'll admit it. Youth pastors do it to each other all the time. There's nothing in it. So this feeling of, oh, I don't want to do that because they did that. Get over it, people. Please. There's nothing new under the sun. If somebody did it, it is okay for you to go ahead and do it. Listen, if I did it, please do it. Please, like, if anybody, do it. If you're doing something amazing and it's working and it's transforming lives, I am liable to take it. It is okay. Now, like, you got to understand, if you're doing an activity and it's great, it's good. So go through these pages, study what it is that they're doing, because they're getting something, they're doing something. If you're dealing with a particular region or a particular state, if you're in New York, Becky, yeah. So if you're in New York, definitely look at Hillsong NYC. You got to look at God Belongs in My City, which started in New York. You want to look at those ministries and what they're doing on their social media, and their social media stuff, and then you want to start. All right, you want to get inspired and you want to start. The second way I would say to start, that's research and exposure. But there is no better way to do social media than to just hand it over to the people that the social media is for. All right, so if you have kids and you have students and you have youth ministry and you're trying to start a social media, listen, just like, don't put all that weight on you. They know how to do social media. Trust me, they do their own. Get them in a room and have them make it lit. Get them in a room and say, hey, we have this social media account. Let you guys, we need you to run it. We need you to do what needs to be done. Cool. What would excellent children's ministry look like? What would be the best way to connect? Oh, Tabitha. Okay, excellent children's ministry. Some of the best excellent children's ministry that I know of right now. You want to follow Orange Leaders on Instagram. Orange Leaders is actually, all of you can follow Orange. Orange Leaders is basically an organization that was started by Reggie Joyner, and one of my mentors, Virginia Ward. She's with them as well. And it is a huge organization that puts on conferences all across the nation, really all across the world, for youth leaders, young adult leaders, local church leaders. All right. And their Orange Kids, they are really excellent. They provide curriculum and all that stuff for churches. And so, as a parent, what does excellent children's ministry look like? You know what it looks like for me? It's like the space is clean, okay? The space is well done. Like, I'm just saying as a parent, because when you think about excellent children's ministry, children don't choose you, the parents choose you, okay? So as much as you're catering to kids, you got to think about, what do these parents want for their kids? And so as a parent, I love for the space that my kid is playing in to be really clean. I love for it not to be too cluttered, for there to be consistent volunteers that have, they've been Corey sorried, right? Like, I don't just have anybody working with children. Like, I have to have an assurance that these people have been Corey sorry. They do not have a past criminal record or anything that involves harming children at any point. And so, and I want, what I look for though, and this is what I really love about our church. I look for the children's ministry lead. Are they overly excited when they see kids? Are they just called to that thing? Like, it's like I posted this the other day, yesterday, our children's director in our church, she put on a huge costume and hit some of us up and drove up to our driveway and told the kids to come outside, and she's playing outside. It's like, there's a genuine love that is expressed through whoever that lead is. So that's personally what I look for and what I think is an excellent children's ministry. Excellent children's ministry, I believe, is not trying to bring the kids back to school. They're trying to teach the kids about Jesus no matter how old they are. So my kid knows about God, not just from my house, but when they go to church, they are learning about God. I've seen children's ministries try to be like preschool or try to be like a kindergarten. And it's like, okay, no, they go to kindergarten already. We need you to be the church for kids. All right. How can you approach your youth pastor / leader under him, talk about how unprepared? Is this coming from me? No, sir. How can you approach your youth pastor and leaders about how unprepared and disorganized we are without being a know-it-all to become an excellent ministry? That's a great question. So if your youth pastors or leaders, you're seeing that they're not necessarily being excellent, as a youth pastor and youth leader who is involved in so many things in the church, not just the youth ministry, one of the things that I would say the way to approach is to ask, how can I help? How can I help? Because I think when we talked about conflict resolution, we talked about respect, we talked about giving the benefit of the doubt. And a lot of times you may be thinking that your youth pastor or your young adult leaders they're being unprepared on purpose. They might just have a lot on their shoulders and they're trying their best, and they just need you to, if you notice, it might be best to say, hey, I'm noticing this. I just want to come in and help. I'm not coming in to tell you how to do your job or to tell you what I think you should be doing. I'm coming here to help you. I thank God for leaders who saw that I had a lot on my plate and said, how can I help? Some of them are on here right now. They will text me and say, what can I do to help? Those are, like, if you are approaching your pastors like that, you have no idea how much of a blessing that is. It's such a blessing because sometimes we are really trying our best to be excellent, and it's because there is so much happening and we're trying to keep it together. But that's the power of a leader that knows how to serve, and that's the power of a leader that understands how to move forward in respect and in honor. All right. So go and ask why they help, because you are a part of the excellence too. All right. And so if anyone's here and you're dealing with leaders that you feel like they're not being excellent, if anyone's here, you're dealing with leaders that you feel is not prepared. Listen, the solution here is not to be like, peace, you're too disorganized, I'm not going to be a part of this, I'm not going to lead under you. That's not the solution. That's not going to help anybody. The solution is to put your hand in the plow and figure out a way to help bring the organization. Because remember, this is not about working for a person like we read in Colossians earlier. This is about serving as if we are serving God directly, not people. This has nothing to do with people. So when God says to you, I placed you in that ministry, I placed you as a leader in that organization, what did you do with it? Okay, what did you do with that time? You cannot say, well, X, Y, and Z person wasn't excellent, so I pieced out. That's not a good thing. You need to go to them and ask them, what can you do to help and bring the level of excellence up? All right. Next, how do you introduce a culture of excellence when you inherit a whack culture? That's really good. Stop everything. Stop everything. Stop everything. I love stopping everything. I don't like inheriting culture. I don't like inheriting culture. If I inherit your culture, I'm inheriting your problems, I'm inheriting your mistakes, I'm inheriting your good, your bad, and your ugly. So what I need to do is to kill it for a while. In the season that I kill it, I'm planning, I'm preparing, I'm building a team, I'm rebuilding culture. Kill it for a while. I suggest at least 30 days. At least 30 days. Nothing is happening. There's no activities. There's no events happening. Kill it for a while. Rename everything. Rename it. A lot of people think names matter, y'all. Names don't really matter. However, names matter to people. Rename it. Give it a new identity. Give it a new logo. Give it a new face. Give it a new feel. Completely, so people can see that there's a clear distinction between what was and what is. Okay? And then after that, you want to make sure, I always say this, you honor the past. Don't be coming in like, oh my God, we're so much better than this. We're so much better than the ones who were here before. This is the new youth ministry. This is the new young adult ministry. We out here, the past was whack. But no, don't do that. Don't do that. Honor the past, all right? Kill it for like 30, 60 days. I've killed the ministry for 90 days. And in those 90 days, I was whipping a team into shape. I was getting a new logo together. I was ordering new t-shirts. I was planning my 2-year calendar of what it was going to look like. I was meeting with individual people. Just because you killed activities doesn't mean the work, you got to stop working. Meet with people, do research, like figure out what the kids like, what, you know, all of that stuff, you know? And then like when it's time to go to start, you start big and you launch out and it's like, oh man, this is something new. This is something different. Okay. How do you go about it, getting exposed to the planning / organization of larger events going in your church community organization? How do you get yourself in the room respectfully? Oh, that is so good. You ask. Y'all, the power of an ask is so huge. So you just ask. Can I tell you guys how I got someone to give me $20,000? $20,000 for a conference. Travis McCready. He was the director of the Boston Foundation. I was leading OMAD, and I literally looked up an article of different organizations that funded nonprofits in Boston because I was looking for funding. And the very first thing that came is new president at, you know, Boston Foundation, et cetera. He's a Black man, et cetera. He's looking into helping the next generation. And I said, oh, wow, why not? Literally went on an email and found his email and said, hey, Travis, I sold my story. There's a power in your story as a leader, okay? Don't ever be afraid to sell your passion and to sell your story. I said, hey, Travis, I am a junior in college. I just took over this organization. We don't have a lot of funding. Our funding comes from the local church. And this is what I'm trying to do. We're bringing youth together to really let them know that they're world changers. They're this and they're that. I would love to sit down and meet with you and glean from you and get in certain rooms that will really help me grow, etc. That ask literally opened the door. He answered me within 24 hours. I was having lunch with him in 48 hours and I was walking into spaces. I was like, this happened with one email. It's the power of an ask, all right? If your heart is right and you want to be exposed to many things, all you have to do is say, hey, I would love to help. This is what I would love to help. This is what I'm trying to do. This is what I need. This is where I believe God is really calling me. And if I could, I would love to. Boom, you're in there. And I personally have never turned anyone away. I personally have never turned anyone away that has come to me with an honest ask. And some of you are on here. If you come to me with an honest ask and say, hey, I want to learn this. Some of you are like, I don't go to your church, but I'm at my church and I want to learn this. I don't turn, decent people don't turn things away. So let's keep going. I'm gonna go on here for about 6 more minutes and then we'll be good to go. What were the church's names on IG again? Elevation Church, Transformation Church, VU Church. Follow them and follow their youth ministries. Hillsong has different youth ministries and churches all across the world. So you can follow as many as they do because Hillsong is so good at branding that they make sure all of their churches are very similar in the way that they present themselves. All right. Oh, somebody already answered it. Dope. How do we get well-known gospel artists to come perform at your youth event? Okay, first of all, if you got money, so they don't say no to money. So that's like one of those things. If you want well-known gospel artists to come, you have money, but it's also the power of a relationship. It's the power of a relationship. Y'all, when I was doing OMAD, I'm telling you, I had to sell that story. I had to sell that story. I'll be honest with you. I sold that story to Tasha Cobbs. She came. I sold that story to Kiara Sheard. She came. I sold that story to P4CM. She came. And I did not pay top dollar for them because these people that God elevated them because of their yes. And they were not always at the top of the top. Okay? They've been where you are. They've been where you are, so they understood. So if your heart is pure and you're putting it out there, I remember I emailed Tasha's people and I said, listen, I have about 1,500 kids that would go crazy if you would show up in this city and sing Break Every Chain over them. They love you. This is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. These are from the local church, etc. If you would come, it would be like, and I sold the story. I shared the story. Don't be ashamed of telling people where you are and what the desires of your heart is to glorify God. That draws people in. That draws people in. I'll be honest with you. I brought Tasha in for $3,500, $3,500. All right, plus flights and hotel. All right, I brought her in. It was April. She won a Grammy that February. All right, for $3,500. I brought Kiara in for $4,200, and that the relationship with Kiara, it's like when you bring somebody in, don't pimp them out for their talent. Get to know who they are. Like don't just get them on a stage and hand them a check. No, like when people come in, that's why one thing I love about our pastors is that when people come into our church, it's like they automatically become family. They automatically become family. We are praying for them. We are warring for them. We are literally like praying heaven down. We care. I'm going to talk about this next week when it comes to, talent and how to treat and develop and sustain talent. Like we care about them. And so that still to this day, there are artists that I've brought into churches and conferences and stuff. Like I still have a relationship with, still to this day, because of the level of care that we showed each other. And so also I want to say this, you can't build a ministry with a big name artist. Okay. Consistency is what builds a ministry. Culture and the power of God is what builds a ministry. You can bring in an artist and it'll give you like a big bang, but believe it or not, after that artist leaves, a huge chunk of the people that showed up for that artist is gonna leave with them. All right. And so what you want to do is you don't want to focus as much on the big bang as much as you focus on the consistent things that you provide that draw. Okay. And so that's one of the things that's important. How do you keep the people? The power. You keep people are attracted to the power of God. That thing that like Adam Derso, which is my ministry coach, and Adam Derso, who's kind of like did the whole Misfits and all that stuff in New York, and he's like a legend in youth ministry. He told me this, and I will never forget it. Years ago, he said to me, "If you start a fire, you don't need to tell anybody about anything. They will hear about it themselves, because the fire does not need advertisement. Whenever there's a fire in your neighborhood, nobody comes to you and knock, knock, knock. There's a fire down the street. You hear it. You see the commotion. You go outside. If it's real close, you feel the heat. Start a fire. The fire will draw people." I'll tell you this much. This was the first year in our young adults ministry that I did not do like themes every month, right? I had a new leadership team this year, and they were like, "Yo, we want you to do a series. You should keep going with this." And I kept on going, and I changed everything. I didn't do it the same, and I preached kind of like on the same sermon series, but God was doing something, and there was a fire in the ministry. The Spirit of God came. There was a fire when we came together. It was like God was just so heavy in the room, and we did not advertise like that. We did not have crazy things going on. Just what God did began to draw. Understand that God will draw. God will definitely do the drawing and keep the people. You also keep people with relationship. Somebody said, I had an event that pulled about 100 kids, but only 6 stayed. So if you're doing an event, as it relates to excellence and how kids stay, if you're doing an event, I'm huge on registration. If you're walking through my doors, I have to be able to get in touch with you. I have to know your name, your number, your age, what school you go to, and your email address, because I'm going to be calling you. I'm going to be blowing up your email with my next event. And so if you're doing big events and 100 kids are showing up, but six staying thereafter, get in contact with the 100, and you want to build a relationship. So on a regular basis, when I do events and nights like that draw people, at the end, I'm at the door, I'm shaking hands, I'm hugging, I'm taking pictures, I'm telling them, yo, am I gonna see you next time? How you doing, etc. I am connecting personally, all right? So I can build relationships so people can feel comfortable to come again, all right? That's the last question I'll take. It's 7:15, y'all. I hope you guys receive from this excellent session. Next week, Tuesday, is our last session on talent. It is our last session, and it is going to be on talent. And next week, I have a special announcement. I have like 3 special announcements for this group next week. It's going to be really dope. So same time, same place next week. Now, the question I have for you guys is that the class ends on Tuesday. If I were to say on Thursday, I want to have like a prayer Zoom session with all of the target leaders, would you guys be down for that? To come through, set your atmosphere. Let me know in the chat if you're gonna be down. Set your atmosphere. Like I would do it like I would invite, my pastor to come in, and we would cover your ministry by name. We would be praying for your needs, and we would end that way next Thursday. Would y'all be down to do one more day? Don't tell me yeah, and then y'all don't show up, all right? Because this is valuable time. So if you'd be down for one more day, we want to pray for each and every single one of you. I want to call your names out and pray for the work of your hands on Thursday. So if a lot of you guys are down, then I'll do it. All right. And so next Tuesday, 6 p.m. right here, we're going to be talking about talent. How do you draw talent? How do you keep talent? How do you make sure talent is in the right place in your organization or your ministry? And it's going to be a dope time. Love you guys. Let's pray so we can end. Father, thank you so much for today. Thank you for teaching us. Thank you for being present in what we're doing and talking to us about, Father God, just how you have given us the tools to remain excellent. Would you bless every ministry here? Bless every leader that's represented here, every church. God, we know that you've given us abilities that we don't even know that are inside of us. And so, God, we pray right now. I pray right now that you would bless the work of our hands. You'll bless the intentions of our hearts, the creativity of our minds. Have your way in and through us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. Love you guys. I'll be on Instagram Live at 7:30 with some special guests talking about this. So hope to see you guys there. Peace.